with my remarks, I will request now Dr. Ajmal to share his thought on the subject which we are discussing now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. All praise and thanks are for Allah. We thank Him and ask for His help and forgiveness from Him. We seek refuge from Allah from our own selves and our own misdeeds. Whomsoever Allah guides, none can misguide him. Whomsoever Allah misguides, none can guide him. We have witnessed that there is no God except Allah, and He has no partners, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was His last and final messenger. The most trustful word are the Book of Allah, the Quran, and the best guidance is the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the Hadith. And the worst things are things which are created in Deen, and they are bid'ah, and all innovation is a deviation, and all deviation is a hellfire. About myself, I am Dr. Ajmal. People who are doctors here, I think, are all PhD graduates, but I am not a PhD graduate. I am a doctor by profession. I am an MBBS doctor. I was into doctor practice for a few years, and after that I am into WealthCity now for various reasons. Some are personal. About WealthCity, we have been there for the past 4 years. We are Sharia compliant investment advisory. We have tied up with Religare, and we provide stockbroking services. About my presentation, I just want to put in a few words. Basically, that I think everything almost has been covered here on a theoretical aspect. What I am trying to present here is about my own experiences with regards to WealthCity. Something you can call approaching an angel investor, or those kind of details. We have gone to that extent, and we have certain experiences we thought we'd share with the people out here. Certain clarifications I wanted to make regarding Sharia, Islam, Islamic finance, profitability, which discussion which has been going on today morning also. I very much agree with Tariq Bhai Sahab, who presented before, that we need a revolution out here to take out interest-based system out of our own lives. I'll just give you an example. Interest-based system is not sustainable on its own. Venture capital we are speaking. What interest-based system is worse than a vulture phenomenon. Even let us say, just I'll give you one brief example. I think you can put this, take this in your mind. Let us say a person wants to take a loan of 100 kgs of rice, a commodity, for his child's birth, Aqiqah's function, and he gets it at an interest rate of 10%. I'm not saying 10% per annum, 10% per annum. Unfortunately, he is not able to pay, and he reaches 100, and his son is supposed to pay it. This 100 kgs of rice or whatever commodity increases in weight till the weight of the whole globe. One transaction I am speaking, 100 kgs of whatever commodity, just 10% of interest rate, annualized interest rate, goes on to become the weight of the whole world. Interest-based economy is unsustainable on its own. You need this artificial crashes which happen in the economy, which are created. Might be some people say created, some people are natural, but if the crashes don't happen, interest-based economy will not be sustainable. That is why we have someone getting richer and richer, and poor are getting poorer and poorer. About the revolution part of it, we have something like, I don't know how many people have heard Malcolm X lectures. One of the point he makes is about himself telling, there are two type of Negroes basically in his lectures. He says one is a field Negro and one is a house Negro. A house Negro is one who sits in the house, he socializes with people, he puts forward his opinion. Field Negro is one who gets down to the work, gets down to the field and does the work. Today what we are needing in Islamic finance is, we need people who can get down to the work, stand and do it. We have, might be to put it in perspective, the largest number of Islamic finance experts in the whole world. I think the number of papers presented from India or awards awarded to Islamic scholars in India are far more than any other even Muslim countries in the last 30 years of history. But unfortunately, there are for various reasons, I think Osaf Saab has given a paper on the reasons for failure of Islamic finance institutions, that none has gone on to become something bigger, even though we have scholars, we have Islamic finance experts. About Maqasid Sharia, we have to understand that Islamic finance is, Sharia has certain principles, broad-based principles, under which Islamic finance comes. Here I am just quoting Imam Khayyim Jawzi out here. Sharia is based on wisdom and on the interest of the people relating to the worldly economy and the hereafter. Wherever we pray for the best of this world and the best of the hereafter. It is wholly and solely justice, benevolence, expediency and wisdom. It is sine qua non of well-being and success in this world and the hereafter. Earnings, savings and investment has been quite well stressed in Quran and Sunnah. References are there, might be, you can get it from the net also. Even Prophet Muhammad savings perspective, I just want to put this, people think that you don't have to save. There is a well-known hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari that Prophet Muhammad used to sell the dates of Garden of Bani Nadir and store for his family so much food as would cover his needs for a whole 1 year. I think we see one perspective of hadiths where they don't have food for the next day. But there are hadiths also which mention that he had food, he used to save things. Now about investment, what does Islam say about investment and growing your wealth basically? This is a well-known saying that Hazrat Imam Malik narrated that Hazrat Umar has ordered that for people to trade in the wealth of the orphans so that it is not depleted by just giving zakat, to increase the wealth. Time value of money is there in Islam, but in a different perspective. It is not based on interest, but on a different perspective it is there. Sahih al-Bukhari narrates a very important saying about 3 persons getting stuck in a cave, and everyone prays that whatever good deed they have done, and so much so that the cave stone moves off. It is a narration of Bani Israel, and the last person says that he had an employee, and that employee was about to be paid for 1 day's work, and he goes off without getting that 1 day's work, and he comes back after so many years and he tells that I want my 1 day's work returned back, and this person tells him, okay, look, this whole sheep, this whole garden is yours. The person owner, he is telling him that you can take the whole part of it. Now what he does here is he takes that 1 day's work and he buys sheep 1 day. If you can see the whole narration, he buys 1 sheep, 1 cow, and it goes on increasing so that at the end of the day it becomes a whole herd. So here is how savings and investment can grow in Islamic way. Islam is about equity and justice, and Sharia is characterized by leniency and softness. When we say about, unfortunately we don't have, one group of scholars or one common opinion in Islam, so we differ on different things almost. I think financially we differ less than on other maslak related things. Keeping this aside, what is Sharia, what is Islam? We need to understand here these two differences. There are differences in these two things, and we need to understand in financial matters. Islam is something which cannot be changed by anyone. It is there in the Quran, it is there in the Sunnah, there is no one which can change it. Sharia is not something like that. A Sharia scholar or let us say a caliph or a prophet has the jurisdiction to change it for some period of time, not for the whole period. That is why we need scholars. Unfortunately, we don't have scholars of that eminence or scholars out here in the discussion, but they form the backbone of Maqasid Sharia because they will be able to understand the reasons for Sharia than our team out here. I'll just give you one example here. At the time of Hazrat Umar, famine was so much that the Baitul Mal is basically robbed. This is given as a commentary in Fath al-Bari in Sahih Bukhari. Baitul Mal is robbed. Because so much famine was there, people were not having food to eat. At that point of time, what Hazrat Umar does is he stops the had punishment of cutting the hands for certain time period. This, basically we have to see it in this context here. One had punishment is given in the Quran. How can someone change it? That is what is Sharia compliance or Sharia rulings coming into the picture. The Maqasid Sharia are far bigger than each and every rule. At that point of time we had prophets, we have Sahaba. At present we have scholars, and it is better to take their opinion before we decide on our personal opinion, personal things, putting things forward. Because economy or finance deals with the masses and the welfare of the Muslim masses. Okay. So another example where Prophet Muhammad said, there was a tribe when he was in Medina, there was a tribe from surrounding Medina, they come and tell that, okay, we will accept Islam, but we will have this set of conditions. It is narrated in Sunan Abu Dawud. Set of conditions. Okay, we won't pay zakat, we will do zina, we won't pray, we will pray for 2 times. These were a set of almost 8-9 conditions which they put forward. Today we cannot even speak of those conditions out here. What Prophet does is, he doesn't agree to, he does, whatever, he doesn't agree to that on the salat also. He tells them that you have to pray, but he tells them you can pay zakat after 1 year. For 1 year it is exempted for you. On economic matters there has been deliberation, there has been leniency. We have to take these things forward and keep the Muslim perspective in India and see it in the longer run. And when we have scholars, we will naturally have difference of opinion. It is whom scholars we follow in Quran Sunnahs, we can follow them. Islamic finance is important. Basically, people don't think why I am also here, because I think finance is a very important concept of Islam. We have something called a Medina market. One, we know that Prophet Muhammad came to Medina from Hijrah, and then he established the Medina mosque. The next thing what he did was, he went to the market and he established, he saw that the Jews have wholly occupied the whole market. He creates a whole Medinian market itself. That is there in Hadith. He creates rules so much so that the road's length should be this much. 2 camels should pass through to and fro. So in such detail he did it. Again, I told about the flexibility, Islamic importance on institution of zakah. There's a lot of literature on Islamic finance. Institution of Hizbah, public duties finance as such, Islamic finance comes under Hizbah. So there are a lot of details. Like one of the books I can remember is Imam Taymiyyah's book on public duties on Islam. So I think it's one of the foremost books. We have to think for it, and I was just mentioning Islamic. He mentions 2 or 3 points out here which are very important for us to see and prioritize Islamic finance in our lives for the work. Basically, he tells something like Islamic BPL, below poverty line thing. He says that for a Muslim, you want a Muslim to be religious, you want him to pray, you want him to practice Islam, you have to make sure that he has certain amount of money for that. We have hadith also that poverty can lead to kufr. So these are things which are there. Another point he says that here, make clarification. People see that Islamic finance should be for charity and not for profit. We had the discussion about vultures or excessive profits or anything. There is nothing wrong in profits as such. Islamic finance was the duty of the state when Caliph was there. Now Khilafat is not there, so people, private entrepreneurs, private people are taking that responsibility and doing it. It is the duty of the state to look forward for the welfare of the people. It is not the duty of the private entrepreneurs to do it. We have to differentiate here. It was one thing is duty of the state and duty of the public out here. But on a natural Muslim brotherhood concept, we have to look for those on a welfare basis, but not on a conditional basis. He says that, Ibn Taymiyyah says that if there are no providers for Islamic finance in a society, people who have knowledge, for them it becomes farz kifaya, like the same as a person dies and there are not 40 people to pray for him. Like this is a very common notion. If a Muslim dies and there are not 40 people for him to pray, it becomes the farz kifaya on the whole community, and the whole community will be in sin. It is something similar. Economy is something similar. Economy forms the backbone of the whole thing, whole community. We have to concentrate more on that. Unfortunately, we don't have at least a lack in a person. I'm saying dais or people who are in Dawa and Islam or other phases, not even a lack in one person is not even concentrating in Islamic finance. Leaving about the introduction, I just want to go through the slide layout. Basically, I think everything has been covered on a practitioner's perspective. I just want to speak here. Venture capital, Islamic perspective, overview, global picture, Indian scenario, what is the prospects, regulatory gap, what we seek here, and our own experiences in WealthCity as such. Next slide. I think this has been covered by Dr. Sharath sir. It is venture capital fund is an initial fund, seed fund, whatever we call. Equity-based financing is there. Funding to managerial assistance. There are a lot of different type of things. There are a lot of similarities between Islamic Venture Capital Fund and a purely Mudaraba Musharaka concept. Basically, some people say that it all started with Islam itself. Basically, even before Islam was there, Mudaraba Musharaka transaction was there very much in Makkah society, and this was adopted by the Europeans given a legal structure and brought it as the Islamic Venture Capital Fund. One quotation, what they say is, when Abu Sufyan was going and trading in Syria, people used to give him there is a narration which says that an old lady goes and gives him, this is my 1 dinar, you trade with him and come back with profits. So, joint partnership or musharaka, whatever, those deals were there, and we can say that Islam put some legal restriction that was adopted by other people, and we have that structure at present. Next slide, please. Venture capital fund, basically we have funding sources. If you see, it's all initially in 3 years, founders, friends and family. That is how any entrepreneur thing starts off. The next stage comes as angel investors. Even then, I think we don't have a set of Muslim angel investors out here in India. That is the first stage. Then we have VC funds, which can be corporations, which can be HNI, which can be financial companies, public. Again, I want to point out that there are, take the government, basically we might have differences with Gujarat government, but if you see the picture, Gujarat government I think has about 5 to 6 venture capital funds itself. I don't think any other state in India has that much amount. We are saying yesterday, I think we were discussing about keeping this in a practical perspective. We are J&K Bank, they can come up with a VC fund, Islamic VC, it's not difficult. We have, I think Kerala has one. Very few states even have venture capital fund. Venture capital fund has been associated with productivity, results or innovation or anything. Like usually when we follow in stock market, we have something called an economic cycle or a stock market cycle. We usually say that economic cycle is almost, stock market cycle is almost 6 months to 1 year ahead of the economic cycle. We can go a step forward and say venture capital investment, usually if you can track in which sectors they are going in and everything, you can come up with predictions for the stock market also, because they are far ahead than the general masses. We have a structure. One is fundraising in a practical perspective, fundraising by venture capitalists. Next is the stage is lead generation, then initial screening, due diligence, evaluation, approving of structure, post-investment managing and exit. These are the whole set of structures which a venture capital fund will go through or a new company will go through. Identifying potential investment as such, personal level of commitment is usually seen by a venture capital investor. You can say chemistry, commitment, reputation, creativity. These are words we can use, but they do it on a personal basis. Business level, size of the market, competition, threat, returns, exit strategy, which is very important. These are things which are seen by a VC. About the structure, LLP is the most commonly preferred mode worldwide. At present in India, we have that for the past few years. If we say in an Islamic model, we have combined 2-tier Mudaraba model. Might be you can add up Wakala also. We have investor, Mudar, and in between there is a bank which can act as a wakil, as a VC also. They have Rabbal Mal, entrepreneurs. Hybrid structures are also available. Shirkat line and those things. Due diligence. Yesterday we were speaking, do we need a balance sheet? I think in Islamic perspective we need to see the balance sheet of the company. Valuation point is the bottleneck. We have DCF, earning, fair value, asset based, EBITDA based, option based valuation, and each and everything provides different results. This is one of the major bottlenecks for any financial deal happening. The solutions are basically like what today morning we discussed: common stocks, preferred stocks, vesting options, covenants, milestones, sweat equity, anything can be kept. Unilateral VAG, anything can be kept and this can be adjusted. Exit, basically people prefer to have a stock market IPO listing exit, which gives a lot of return for the company, investor as such. Globally, venture capital first investment is picking up about 43%. We have nearly 350 venture capital fund We call something called dry powder, $20 million waiting. On a global perspective, VC funds are supposed to get about 1 trillion in 2011 and 2012. There's a huge fund waiting to be put into companies as such. We can get this data online. Bain & Capital has these articles. It is risk capital, but it is also smart capital, because the percentage of return is far higher than what you can make in other companies. Again, a venture capital company can go for stock market, direct public acceptance. They can list in the stock market, and like what we have for futures ventures now at present, even though it didn't perform a lot. Islamic venture capital funds are active in Middle East and in India. As Shahrukh Bhai told, Real Estate Venture Capital Fund is the only active fund now. First initiative someone has to take in India. That is the biggest bottleneck we have here. Someone has to put in money and do it. Fundraising is an important concept. Incubation period, like what we have. Someone with deep pockets, basically. The first day what we discussed, we need people who can bring in that amount of money and do it. As such, on the supply side, there are a lot of Muslim entrepreneurs. I know a lot of Muslim software companies which are running on their own, which can grow largely. Any plan should be commercially viable, convertible as such. Dinar Standard has an article by Rudy Yaksick which says missing link in Islamic finance hubs is venture capital fund, and it says that India is a destination for it. India, a country of 150 million, but encountering many political challenges in adopting retail Islamic finance, may be the ripest country in Middle East and Northeast Asia and South Asia for Islamic venture capital fund. This is by a very known scholar in Islamic finance, and he says that it is better to invest in Bangalore-based companies because the valuations are comparatively better than Silicon Valley companies. The growth story of India here in a proper perspective. We have an article by Standard Chartered. This is a recent article. The whole world is entering into a super cycle of growth. It says that the world economy will grow multifold, like what we saw after the Second World War. For the next 20-30 years, the whole world economy will grow in a substantial way. Another advantage what we will have is average age of Indians will be far attractive. 2030, we have 30s, 40s age group. GDP growth will be very good for India. And these are areas, we have to step in, and we cannot have, speaking. We can speak a lot, but at the end of the day, the world is moving faster. Venture capital area is moving faster. The country is moving faster. We need some practical steps, venture capital fund to come forward and take this opportunity before the time goes on. Next slide. 10 largest economy. India will be the third largest economy by 2030. Again, the structure, yesterday we were discussing, agriculture-based economy, industry-based economy, services-based economy. I think there is a lot of, even the agricultural data, what we get is, we cannot say it is all that correct, because people try to put majority of the revenues through agriculture and project it as a tax-free revenue. And the trading aspect in agriculture is mostly done on commodities market. So India will move away, I think it has moved away from the agricultural-based economy to a services-based economy. This is where this is where for people to, for example, entrepreneurs to come into also, and venture capital funds can make a good money also, coming down to these sectors. Here, financial services we have, tourism we have, other areas also. Again, this is one exit road, and where they are investing, BFSI is one area. Next slide. PE funds bring in value, along with them corporate governance they bring in. It is not only about venture capital. I think they bring in value for the organization, they bring in credibility, they bring in management process, whole structure they bring in. It's not only they bring in money, but they bring in value also. I think these are slides which are available. What is the bottleneck, valuation is a bottleneck, and other things. About our company, university, basically. Next slide. Our practical experiences here, we have approached certain venture angel investors, we have raised an amount of capital, and we have gone through a whole procedure. Next. A lot of things have been fine. So basically for entrepreneurs, they have to come forward and put the deal forward. They have to make a business plan. They have to have a team and put it forward to the right people, and I think they can make good amount of money. I think we have raised a good amount of money got a good amount of commitment from people, even without going elsewhere. Next slide, please. Next slide. these are the research areas what we saw. We saw Sachar Committee report, Muslim population areas. We saw McKinsey quarterly report on wholesale banking in India. Urbanization will be huge in India. NCXSX Indian Equity Survey, capital markets area. We think financial sector will have a great boom in India. Any economy which is growing will have a lot of. We have parallel to cheap capital, long-term shift, and asset management industry. This is a very important article. People say this article states that asset management industry as a whole will shift from US and elsewhere to emerging countries where there will be money which needs to be managed. These are FICCI articles. Again the Board of Gold, the rise of Indian consumer market. It's a very thought-provoking PDF, you can say, with where the services sector will have a large area to grow. Statistics. Next slide, please. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Ajmal, for the wonderful presentation, particularly you have covered on Islamic banking, Quran and Sunnah. Thank you so much indeed. My apologies as